I love Malachi. But no, this is Isaac. Hey, you. Come on. This is the Bride of Pimpin', baby. We're going to be talking about spookies. I'm Jesse Pimpinella, and you know her. What's your name? You the Bride of Pimpy. Give it up for Sarah, everybody.
You're fucking weird.
I know I am. That's how we start the show. I know. You guys are all looking at me like, Jesse, why do you look like Isaac from Children of the Corn? Because we're talking about Children of the Corn today. Before we start, make sure you do a couple things. I need you to like and subscribe. I need you to share this link and so everybody else can join in on talking about this horror movie. Now, we are going to be bringing on somebody who, is my opinion, is one of my most favorite movie reviewers of all time. All right, he truly is. We scale movies by one or multiple. Please give it up for Mr. John Jacobs, man.
Did Sarah snicker at me when you said that you respected my movie review opinions, and then her response was,
Okay.
I want to agree with them, but I can respect them.
Here's the thing,
hurt
John.
my feelings. That hurt my feelings. I'm upset.
Okay. You'll live.
Will I?
Yeah.
I'll live. Okay.
Okay, honestly, you forced us to watch
I
the
did.
new Children of the Corn. I'm not a fan of you right now because that was like a waste of 90 minutes of my life.
Oh, this
It's
movie
a
was
short
really
run
bad.
time, though. It was like the shortest movie I've watched in months. So at least there's that,
Oh,
right?
The real question is, when will you watch New York Ripper? Because you agreed.
I did. We'll plan it, and whenever. That's fine.
So you need to watch it.
By Fulci. I can't wait to see what you think.
I mean, it'll be like a play-by-play.
It's so bad.
Is it as bad as Children of the Corn 2013 or 2022 or 2020? I don't even fucking know when this movie was made and came out. There's two different dates. It's confusing.
Okay, so New York Ripper, the killer, talks like...
No, don't tell him.
Never mind.
Well,
Don't ruin that for him.
All right,
No. I want to know absolutely nothing going into this film. I don't want to know anything.
Don't read the description then.
Don't read the description.
Just watch it. It's
All right.
great.
So to get us back into the Children of the Corn mindset, besides me dressing like Isaac, I wanted to see what you guys remember about the original movie. So I have a little quiz. Are you guys ready to do a little quiz?
Why the fuck are we doing
Yeah,
this?
what is Jesse? This is like so unconventional.
Jesse, I know you get to watch movies all day at work.
I don't.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Yes, he does.
He literally when he came in the house, the first thing he said was, "Okay, so I watched the original Children of the Corn today at work." So fuck you, Jesse.
Okay.
Some of us work.
Okay, that's very true. That's very
I'm
true.
on vacation, hence the shirt. So I didn't.
Lucky.
Today went to Kosai. It was awesome.
All right. So, anyways, let's see what you guys remember about Children of the Corn. We're gonna do a little pop quiz, guys.
I don't
Pop
like
quiz.
I don't like it either.
I have a bad memory, so.
Where does Children of the Corn take place?
Nebraska.
Sarah?
I can't. The screen's small. I can't read.
Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, or Kansas?
I want to say Iowa.
It's Nebraska.
Okay.
Yes, it's a Cornhusker state. All right. Who indoctrinates the children of Gatlin?
That actually could be a trick question depending on how you're asking it and when. I mean, okay, to be safe, I'm just going to say it's he who walks behind the rose.
Well, you have choices. You have Isaac, Malachi, Job, or Amos.
Well, then it's Isaac, but that's not really correct, but...
It isn't, yeah. I mean, it depends on how you view it.
Yeah,
okay.
I like that you created this quiz, though, Jesse. Like, that's very, inventive of you.
So
nice.
Did you do this at work, too?
Shut up, everybody. I work really hard.
No, he did. This is great. I love this. This is new for our show. I love the quiz with the sound effects.
Okay,
all right, where?
Real quick, John, this is my show. It's not your show.
It's not even my show.
Sorry, my apologies. Let me get my place right.
It's not even my show.
Sorry.
All right. Here's a hard one. Where
sir.
does Job's father take him after church?
How
This is the beginning of the movie. Where does it happen?
Isn't it the fucking cafe when they
Yeah,
murder
the diner.
everybody?
Yeah.
Is it Humperdinck's Cafe, Hoopman's Cafe, Hanson's Cafe, or
I
Hoffman's?
don't,
What
I
the
don't remember
fuck,
the
Pinky?
name. I'm gonna say it's either Hanson or Hoffman.
I have no clue.
Well, let's see which one's right. Yes, it's Hanson's Cafe.
That's actually a good question to ask. That yeah, that's a good one because you only notice it real quick. So if you've never seen the movie or only seen it once, you probably wouldn't even know the answer. So that's actually a good one.
Now, at the beginning of the movie, where do the children poison Mr. Hanson's customers? Coffee, meat, corn, or Kool-Aid?
Isn't it coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he instructs him. He shows up in the window and goes, and then Malachi, who's like the pinball wizard, he's like, that's how it works. All right. What does Vicky give Bert for his birthday? Pipe, pocket knife, ring, or lighter?
It's a lighter.
Yeah, I always forget that one actually.
Yes.
Good job.
What is Bert's profession? You know, the thing that he holds over his girlfriend the entire movie.
Isn't he a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
He's
Correct.
100% a doctor. You are absolutely right. Now, here's a good one. Sarah, you already know the answer, so don't say it. What book is on the dashboard of Bert and Vicky's car? It's a Stephen King book.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm gonna go with The Shining. Yeah, I'm gonna go with The Shining.
Actually, it was The Night Shift, which actually had the Children of the Corn in that book.
Gotcha. That makes sense since it was a short story from that book.
All right. After accidentally running over Joseph they did kind of. He was pretty much dead. I mean, Malachi, slit his throat. After accidentally running Joseph over in the car, what does Bert find in the cornfield? A voodoo doll, a Bible, a suitcase, or a knife?
Suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. What board game do Job and Sarah play? Chutes and Ladders, Monopoly, Candyland, or Twister?
I don't know.
Monopoly.
Very good, because Monopoly is forbidden.
That's right.
Which-
Gambling.
How many?
I love how he draws the line at capitalism.
Yeah. No capitalism.
I don't want capitalism in my corn universe.
How many questions are there?
We'll make this the last one.
Thank fuck.
Which character? Wow, thank you, Sarah. Which
Fuck
character
you.
has the gift of sight? Malachi, Job, Isaac, or Sarah?
I have no clue.
Job. No, it was Sarah. My bad. Sorry.
She was the one drawing all the pictures.
Yeah, she drew the pictures. They
Yes.
don't really. Well, we'll talk. I guess we'll probably talk about that. how
They
that
they
was
they
just-
they play with it. But anyways,
Are you gonna wear the hat through this entire thing?
yes, I am.
Isaac.
Malachi wore it the entire. Well, he took it off sometimes.
I should have
He
worn
also-
like suspenders and like
Yeah,
dyed my hair red, and then I
It was
could.
very short notice. I couldn't get the suspenders. I wanted to get his hair cut, but I just didn't have time for that.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
god.
there's a little hole in the hat, right?
The fuck?
I had something to say, but I'm not going to say it, and we're
Yeah.
just gonna progress through the conversation. How about that?
I get
Yeah.
it.
So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about the first Children of the Corn before we get into the new one and how it kind of bastardized it. So, the original movie
Is not good.
You didn't like it. What'd you think, John?
Wait, what, Sarah? The 84?
Yeah.
Well, I was alive. Neither of you were, and the movie was a big deal. Even though by today's standard it is very tame. In 1984, when you saw children murdering people, that was a thing. That was definitely a thing, and we had all the cult shit going down, so it just fit perfectly in that early to mid 80s type thing. You had Linda Hamilton coming up; she was in that. So, I enjoy it. It's a classic of mine. I've seen it a dozen or so times, maybe more. And there's nothing like when you fire up the movie and it has anything that has ominous children singing choir
yeah, that
background. Yeah. you know you're in for a treat. It may only be part of the film, it may be half the film, maybe it's just the ending, but they're gonna deliver because they had the singing choir children. And Children of the Corn did it better, in my opinion, than I think most other films. Lost Boys, you could probably argue, but that was just a chorus. This thing was the actual choir singing.
No, Lost Boys was better. There was a sax. There was a shirtless sax guy.
Well, but he didn't sing the song. It's two different things, different.
I know. I'm just throwing a wrench. But no, I agree. And this kind of brings back the genre of the killer children.
Yes,
which I love, the killer children genre.
I mean, any kill. I'm gonna show up for any psychotic killer children. I'll even show up for Village of the Damned with Christopher Reeve. Okay.
Well, why do you think as a society we have an obsession of killer children? Because it shows up in numerous movies. So why do we keep revisiting it, you guys think?
Because children are inherently creepy.
Yeah, they are. And I think it's also, I agree with Sarah. And I think it also has to do with the innocence of children. So when you make children the killer, it's supposed to be like emotional and uncomfortable for you because you don't look at children as murderers. So I think just in the back of your mind as you're watching the film, it kind of messes with you.
That is very interesting. That is very interesting. I mean, I think it also because on top of that innocence, it's so out there to think they could do something that evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because every movie kind of plays like that. Like there'll be all the evidence that proves that this kid's evil, but everybody will overlook it.
Mm-hmm. Isn't the guy who played Isaac like 30 fucking years old?
24 in this movie.
He looks really old.
He had the whole Gary Coleman thing going on.
Yeah,
he had that going on. Yeah, but anyways, but yeah, no, there is something about the creepy kid thing that really. I mean, this one, they are kids to the point where their religion doesn't allow them to live past the age of 19.
Well, but that's part of what they invented after they, killed the parents and then turned into the corn cult worshiping, part of the religion or whatever it is that they were. They took it and made it their own. They added things, just like every religion does, until it became what they wanted. And then Isaac was able to then use that to control the other people, just like other religions do. So,
what's really interesting is I like the message Bert screams out to the kids that any religion that isn't built in love and sympathy or empathy is false.
Right. And I thought that was good because he's like, I loved that part of the end when they have him cornered and he's just like, he's laying it down to them. And I thought that was good because he's a medical doctor. He's going to weigh more on the side of science and technology, but he's not telling them that religion is wrong. He's just telling them that theirs is wrong because they're murdering people and they're a cult and they're worshiping this monster and they're doing all these crazy things. So he's not coming to them saying, he's not saying that religion itself is wrong. He's saying theirs is, and here's why. So I did like that. Personally, I would have liked to seen the avocation for just none of it, but the fact that he was like, hey,
he's just chucking Stephen Hawking books at the kids.
Yeah, like he was like, hey, this is bad. This is the good part of religion. If you're not doing this, then it's not really religion. You're in a fucking cult and you're all gonna die. It would have been cool to wipe out all of the children. I kind of think they might have at the end. They just didn't show it because they only took the two that they wanted, but clearly there were more kids in the town.
There's an interesting quote about cults and religions. I'm not sure if you've ever heard this quote before, but somebody said it like, what's the difference between a religion and a cult?
Well, the difference between the religion and the cult is that the cult worships one singular person as their, deity or whatever you want to call it, whereas a religion, that deity is already passed and it's more about the following and what's happened after.
It's pretty much close to the quote. The quote is in a cult your Messiah is still alive.
Right now some cults, they are dead, but it's still worshiping that person as if they were alive, but it's not in the same context as other organized religion because, just taking Christianity, they worship Jesus and he's in all these forms because he's actually God, but he's dead. But that's okay because all these other things happen, so we can do this as a religion. And it's a totally different
Yeah. Anyways, so let's just kind of wrap up the movie. So the movie basically they go to Gatlin because they discovered the dead kid, trying to report the murder. It never works out because Gatlin's overran by the kids. Eventually, they try to crucify Linda Hamilton. Basically, they replace it with Isaac because Malachi's like, "You betrayed us. You're not good enough anymore." And then eventually, it all goes to hell, and it leads to Bert burning down the cornfield, which is the inevitable story.
Might I point out that this film has two awesome names for lead characters that are just not used anymore: Bert and Vicky. Those are like not movie names, and I'm here for it, man. The only other Bert in a film I know is Bert from Tremors.
That's true. That's true.
Vicky, you got Vicky Vale, and I'm sure there's another movie with a Vicky, but it's not a common movie name, especially for leads. So I always kind of give myself a chuckle, when I hear I'm like, oh, Bert and Vicky. I'm like, I forgot they were off names in this. So yeah, it's exciting.
It's a really interesting name, and what's really even interesting about this movie, I'll say some cool trivia facts a little later, but I lost my train of thought with it. But do you know what the original ending to this movie was actually?
They just did a pile of coke and called it a day.
Well, that too.
Yes. This was during the cocaine years. It was okay. I mean, this isn't Maximum Overdrive though. Like he wasn't on set blowing down 8 balls. Okay.
Oh my god.
Basically,
it happened though, Sarah. Like that's the thing. Like
essentially, Bert and Vicky die. They don't make it out of this. Like when she's getting crucified, they rip her eyes out. They do all kinds of stuff.
So that would have been cool.
Her.
So
and then
go ahead. I'm sorry. You're about.
And then the monster,
who
we'll talk about in the next movie.
They actually
have the monster. He kills Bert, and then he goes to the kids and goes, "You guys disappointed me. I had to kill the last one. You two are supposed to kill these two. So now the 19 age rule goes to 18 now at a punishment. And then they send the kids that are like 19, that were 18 to go out and get killed. And then it ends with the crops being more fresher. And the monster's like, that's what I'm talking about.
That's fucking hell.
Yeah, I would have showed up for that ending.
I kind of would. I like the doom and gloom. It got kicked out because the movie studio was like, we want a happy ending. Like the couple is supposed to argue a lot more and hate each other.
I don't think that would have worked though, because it would have became Kramer versus Kramer with Crazy Children. And
and you wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, we don't need two distractions. Like stay away.
That's fair.
So no, just one distraction in the film is all we need. But no, that ending sounds fantastic. I would have loved that. I know we're gonna talk about that part when we talk about the remake. But I did like the original one, not actually seeing the monster and it just represented by amorphous clouds and some shiny shit. I was okay with that because when Isaac comes back after he's killed, he's now possessed and he's in total demon form. I also like that way better. I think this is one of those situations like Alien where the less you see of it, the better that it is.
I agree with that.
And I know we're going to talk about this when we talk about the reboot, so I'll pause on my point until we get there because oh my god.
Before we talk reboot, I got a couple of other trivia facts about this movie that will blow your mind. So Sarah knows the answer to this already.
I feel like
John, this is on you.
Already.
So, and is anybody else can comment on this? Before this story was published in the short story collection, The Night Shift, where was this first published? And I'll give you a hint. It's in a magazine, but you will not believe what magazine it is.
I'm going to go out because I don't know.
Go crazy. John, think crazy.
I'm going to say like Playboy or Penthouse or something.
Oh my God, Penthouse.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
You got it. You
Dude,
totally got it.
Look what came from Porno Mags, man. We got fucking Children of the Corn. There we go.
You're just whacking into a hot girl, and you're like, "Oh my god, I love Carrie. He put a story in here."
Oh my God, she's covered in blood. Do it again. Anyways.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah,
1977 is when it was published in there, and then a year
Yeah.
later, it was put together in Night Shift.
Wait, when was Carrie published then?
I don't know. I made that joke very off brand. It might not have been Carrie.
No. I'm genuinely curious if he was already if he already published.
Carrie. Okay, the film 1974. Okay, so it works. The joke works.
So if he but
Yeah,
like
74.
if he had published Carrie through like Shining by this time, why the fuck was it in Penthouse?
Maybe he likes Penthouse. Who am I?
What?
He did coke.
I know, but he was publishing under Scribner at that point.
But keep in mind, Sarah, the more that you expand out, the better chance you have of a hit. Back in those days, man, the porno mags were everything. So if you
They
get
were.
a story in there, millions and millions of people were going to read that. So
And here's the thing about
I
that.
get it. I
John
get it.
brings up a very good point. This is the only Stephen King property to have the most sequels ever made. It has 11 sequels.
I can't even keep track of all of them. Like I've seen 3 of them, I think.
You got
Like,
Children of the Corn, Two Children, Two Corn.
Oh God.
Children, Corn,
Two children, is
Tokyo
this Too
Drift.
Fast, Too Furious? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yes. Then the Cornish 7.
Okay, you're done. You're
Well,
done.
then there's the 2 on Tubi. You have the soft reboot, which was Children of the Corn Genesis, which I started watching earlier this morning. Wasn't able to finish it. Not sure if I'm going to. It looked like a movie Jesse and I would make in our backyard. So it was. I'm not saying I can't watch those movies because I watch those movies all the time, but it was bothering me because I'm just like, Jesus. And then
Well-
there's another one that's called Children of the Corn Runaway. I know nothing about that, but it's on Tubi, so you better believe I'll be watching that.
Oh my God.
And here's another interesting fact
It's
about
bad,
this.
Sarah. It's really bad.
What?
Oh, I was just telling Sarah the 2 on Tubi are really bad.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not watching that
I'll
shit.
check it out. Here's another interesting fact. Disciple of the Crows. Are you guys familiar with that title? It was actually
I am not.
It was
No.
actually in the church's sign. That's actually the first version of Children of the Corn. It was a low budget film that came out a year before the 84 version.
That's weird.
So they actually did a film of that too in 1983.
Yep,
There's
that's
a
what I mean. Disciple of the Crow.
1983 Disciples of the Crow. Yeah, dude, I'm watching this. It
Yeah.
looks like it's a short story though. It's like 20 minutes long or something.
Huh.
Who knows? It might be good. I'm
Yeah,
gonna definitely check it out.
Take a look at it. It looks like they have it on YouTube. So anybody watching, check that out. I had no idea this existed. And it's a very similar setup and story. A couple passing through a small Oklahoma town discover that it's taken over by a homicidal cult that worships a crow god. So very, very similar. I'll definitely be watching that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, we're about to jump into the terrible, awful one. But before we go into that, I have a question. How do you think this stands up as a Stephen King adaptation? As in, like, is it because there was a plenty of
Yeah.
Stephen King adaptations getting pumped out around this time.
So-
How do you guys feel about this one compared to the other ones?
I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not as good.
I tend to agree with Sarah. I mean, you could argue certain aspects of it, but she is right because at this time, this is when he was getting pissed off because all of his works were not getting adapted the way he would have preferred
Yep.
them to be adapted. And he just kept getting pissed off each time every movie came out. So I
Yeah.
do agree with that.
Well, his script got
I like
rejected for
it,
this
but I
movie.
do agree with what she's saying that, is it faithful to the short story? It's an adaptation.
I mean, like at this point, the only thing that was faithful was Carrie, and Carrie was like that's still even borderline.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going back and forth in my head with The Shining because I can argue The Shining both ways. But I
Oh,
ultimately,
oh my god.
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
ultimately land. Hold on, I ultimately land on it is not a faithful adaptation.
Okay.
I can argue, but I do agree it's not faithful.
Okay, so my issue, this isn't even about The Shining, because I read Stephen King books first before I saw any movie.
I was the opposite. I saw
Yeah.
movies and then read books.
So like I automatically, if it's not that faithful, I don't like it.
yeah, I got you.
And
Makes
like
sense.
if Stephen King didn't like it and he was vocal about not liking it, then by proxy I don't like it because
Sure.
I'm biased. He's
Sure.
one of my favorite authors. So it's like if you fuck with Stephen King, you're fucking dead to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, this was during the cocaine years, so you know.
I know. I'm not saying it's a good bias. I'm just saying it's bias.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I do agree with you. I do definitely agree with you. And you know, Children of the Corn, 84. I can't believe we have to put a preference on this now. I do agree that it's not faithful. I think it's more faithful than some of the other 80s.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it is faithful as an assertion, but it's one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think as an adaptation, it does stand up. It's still watchable despite the quality of it. It's very watchable.
Yeah, and you know, it's very much a period piece. Like you watch this movie, there is no question about when they made this film.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it is dated, so it doesn't hold up in that regard because it's not timeless. And maybe it's because I have nostalgia for it. Maybe it's because I've seen it so many times. But when I watch it, I don't feel like, oh my God, this movie's so fucking old, I can't watch it anymore. I don't feel that way when I watch it, but I do recognize that it doesn't hold up in the sense that, like, let's say Top Gun holds up because that's more timeless, even though it is shot in the 80s and there's a lot of 80s stuff in it. The story itself is timeless, and they proved that with Maverick that they can continue that forward. So for me, it's, you know, a little bit of both.
And I would say just like Stephen King's books for the most part are not timeless.
Yeah, definitely agree. There is that like period of time and setting where just everything tends to take place.
Yeah, but like even his current books right now feel dated.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't read current like fiction that much, so I'm unfamiliar with some of the newer stuff.
yeah, his newer stuff, it's good. It's not like an issue of the plot.
Mhm.
It's his writing style. It's just very dated.
Interesting. So that's where I was going to go. Do you think that he has consciously chosen not to evolve his writing style because that's the bread and butter, so he just keeps doing that regardless?
I would say it's that.
Hmm.
It also, okay, if you read old Stephen King stuff, there's a lot of misogynistic,
Absolutely.
homophobic,
Yep, there
racist,
totally is.
all that. So I think he focuses so much on not doing that in the new books.
Mhm.
That's the only thing he focuses on, and that's why his writing style hasn't changed.
Okay.
The only thing that's changed is like the offensive shit.
Sure, there's no like kid gang rape like there is in It.
Oh
So.
God, I don't even want to think
Yeah.
about that.
Interesting though, Sarah. I am now that you've added that to my lens. I'm actually excited to check something out so that I can kind of compare and contrast. Because I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely correct. That's interesting to me. So yeah, now I feel like I should read something current just so I can experience that. So
Just don't read The Institute. That one, that's like his Stranger Things inspired book.
okay.
It is not good.
I'm interested though, now that you made that correlation.
If you want to borrow it, you don't have to buy it. I have a copy.
So like I'm dumb and I like had to go to the remedial reading class when I was in elementary school. So it takes me like a year to read a big grown up book. So
It's
it
fine.
takes me a
Jesse's
while to
been
read it.
reading Lords of Salem for like a year and a half.
The book is better than the movie. The book is better than the movie.
It's the only thing of Rob Zombie I don't like.
Okay.
I don't count Halloween 2 because he was forced to do that, so it's
Yeah.
for me.
All right. Well,
Anyways,
anyways, let's
Children of the
flip over to the one of the reasons why we're here to talk.
Oh, we've been
Children
waiting
of
a
the
half
Corn
hour to trash this
2020,
movie.
now streaming on Amazon Prime.
So is it 2020?
Yes,
Is
that-
2020.
So I swear to you, when it on AMC Plus on the date it says 2023. Like I'll look it up again, but I swear it said 2023.
I'll double check it real quick.
Did
I
it
might be
say
wrong.
that
I
on
might be wrong.
Shudder? I don't remember it saying that on Shudder.
Hold
Well,
on,
so
Jay.
like I think Shudder and
2020.
AMC Plus like have a deal thing now. So if you have AMC Plus, you have Shudder.
Okay.
Because I was able to get Shudder content, but I feel like it's not all the content because it's on my Amazon hub where AMC Plus is. I don't like how they do that. It's weird.
Yeah, that's why we just go through the app.
Yeah, but it's so much easier and convenient, and then it just bills my Amazon account every month. It's just a lot more streamlined and easier. But I agree with you. The
So-
independent app is going to have more options.
So here's what happened, just so everybody knows. The
I
movie
swear
did
it said
premiere in
2023.
It was scheduled for a wider release, but that got pushed back. Then the streaming rights got purchased, and then that got pushed back.
Uh,
And then it streamed for 18 days, starting March 3rd, 2023.
The fuck?
So this movie has been in the weirdest release limbo I've
yeah,
ever seen.
that is strange, and that would explain. So apparently, I don't know where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere where it did say the date was 2023. So that what Jesse's talking about would make perfect sense since it was just
Yeah.
a disaster of releases. Who the hell knows what date you're supposed to put on there?
I mean, the movie is that shitty, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
it deserves that.
So
So let's talk about it. You got topics, Jesse, or are we just free?
Oh
doing
no,
that?
I got topics for
Oh,
it. I was just
God.
letting you guys. I was just
Come on,
letting you guys.
Sarah.
flow.
It's your guys' show. You know he's got topics.
All right,
Oh,
let's
okay.
talk
Here we
briefly
go.
about this plot.
Okay.
Sarah,
No.
you do it. You do it.
All right. There's killer kids, but the twist, Groot but greener is
Mhm.
controlling them, and it may or may not. They might be acting batshit crazy because of chemicals and or fungus
Mhm.
on said corn, but they do nothing with it.
Yep.
It's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever seen. Like here's the thing. I'm going off on a tangent, and I
Go.
don't care.
Go for it.
I always thought Stanley Kubrick's Shining was the worst case of like adaptation. Like it's not the Shining. It's just a Stanley Kubrick movie with the Shining slapped on it. Not like the book at all.
Ooh,
Okay.
I've read the book and it's not perfect, but I think they got some things right.
Oh, you know what? All right.
Okay, look, this could be a different show during October. We could.
I
definitely-
agree. Yes, let's
Yeah.
do that.
But like, we
I
gotta
would
stay on this
love to do
topic.
that. I
I'm
would love
sorry.
to do that.
Okay. This Children of the Corn is that same situation.
Mm, mm.
It's not Children of the Corn.
Mm.
It's a killer kids movie, but they needed some way to advertise it, so they slapped a Stephen King title on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like I had said in our group chat, it felt like I was watching Teen Wolf on MTV.
Pretty
Like
much.
that's
Yeah.
what it felt like. Twilight, Teen Wolf, all those horror stories, Vampire Diaries, all that shit that they took horror stories and they reimagined them for the teenage audience. Which, look, I don't have a problem with. I'm not the target audience, but if it brings horror to these kids because they made Teen Wolf, who cares? Let them watch it. But that's what it felt like to me. It felt like an MTV version of Children of the Corn, and that just made me really sad. Like I was
Yeah.
really sad.
And I felt like it lacked the religious horror of the original.
Yes, it had like
It did.
almost nothing religious to it. They were
Nothing.
just worshiping
Nothing at
Groot.
all.
There was no like there wasn't the choir music. There wasn't the people all culted out. There wasn't like having like Eden wasn't even a leader. She just got lucky and went in and then was like, "Oh hey, what's up, Groot?" And he's like, "Actually, I'm Swamp Thing. I want you to do these things for me." And she was like, "Yeah, cool." I'm like, but I
She was
agree.
basing the world on the Red Queen. That was kind of her motive.
Yeah, but it wasn't good.
I didn't say it was good. I just said that's what she did.
there was nothing horrific about the children. In the original film, it was horrific. And I think part of the problem is too, is that the plot to kill the parents was unfolding in real time as the movie was happening, and there were no outsiders. So you're just there on the farm. You
Yeah.
know, in the original one, you get the killings right up front, so you know shit went down. But then the outsider opinion comes 3 years later after their society has kind of evolved and settled, and this is what the kids are doing. So when the outsiders come, they're like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
That entire element was nowhere in that film, and that hurt it drastically because it's like, why am I even watching this?
Like here's
But
a
like the weird thing, because when we were watching it, I'm not gonna lie, I took my night meds. I was super drugged. I kinda-
I hope you enjoyed it better, Sarah.
I did not.
I did
I
not. I love it.
I got confused for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I looked up the synopsis on Wikipedia. I didn't catch this at all, but they're saying that Eden was possessed by the kid in the beginning that like went to go kill everybody.
I thought he was possessed by Groot or working for Groot. How is it that he would then? Because she went into the cornfield after she saw him come
Yeah.
out. So how did he possess her when she went in and then she came out of the cornfield all fucked up? So I just assumed Groot did it.
I don't know, but that's what the Wikipedia synopsis
So
said.
there's another plot hole that they didn't bother to close up.
yeah. This is really strange.
But I do want to go back to what Sarah was talking about, because I think this is actually one of the biggest travesties of the film, and I think it could have helped it a lot better. They go out of their way to let you know that these chemicals and then now the fungus growing on the corn can cause hallucinations. I'm like, well, there's our ending. And so I'm like, okay, you know, something different. We don't have the amorphous clouds and the demon. They talk about it, but oh, we're gonna have that ending. I always forget the name of it. That movie with Elizabeth Banks, where it's like the one-shot movie where the girl comes back from the mental institution and she's still crazy, and like when she finally realizes she's crazy, she realizes all those things, I made it up. They're not real. Now it's not in front of me. That actually never happened. Here's what happened. And so at the end, when I don't even know the characters' names other than Eden, but when the lead is holding the flower ring and then it disappears, I was like, oh, they're doing it. I was like, it's gonna come out that they were all hallucinating and the lead murdered everybody because it was all invented in her head. And I'm like, yes, this is gonna redeem the film. This ending is gonna be great. And then it wasn't. And it just was dead Eden and jump scare, and that's it. I'm like, why would you introduce that and do nothing with it? Like,
here's my beef.
I'll be right back.
Okay, so
Sarah, let's go. You and me, one-on-one.
All right, have you seen The Witch?
The Witch.
It came out like 2015, 2016.
I want to say yes, but I mean, it's I don't really remember much if I have.
Okay, so The Witch, it plays upon the idea it's more like it's the same fungus on the corn because it takes place in, I can't remember if it's Salem, but Puritan era, and they question it is like, are they hallucinating from the fungus on the corn or did it actually happen? So I thought that's what this movie was gonna do, but they didn't do anything.
They didn't. I was disappointed. Because I caught that immediately, and then when we were messaging and you had mentioned the hallucination, I was like, okay, don't forget about that plot line because they're not gonna do anything with it.
Nothing at all.
This is the biggest bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, so that really bothered me. And here's the thing too, like, so okay, well, we want to stay on the religious piece of it there.
Well, no, we can move back on to the brief plot because we're kind of getting back on that.
Yeah, so the plot is the same. The kids murder the parents and then something happens to get to the ending, right? So it's the same plot, but it's the how, and like not only the how, but like the journey itself. And I don't care about any of these kids. None of them, because they didn't earn the right. In the beginning, or in the original one, they show you everything up front. Well, enough that you need to see. So they earn the right for you to be scared of these murderous kids and want to know what's going to happen and root for the outsiders. In this one, I didn't care about I didn't care about the dad. I didn't care about the mom. I didn't care about the affair. I didn't care about the kids. I didn't care about
Wait,
any
what
of the
affair?
leads.
The mom was having an affair with someone.
I did not catch
and
that.
the dad was completely aware of it, and he was just letting it happen. I'm
Yep.
like, huh? Like what? Like, and they still slept in the same bed. I'm like, what is happening with this story? So yeah, so that I didn't care about anything because they didn't earn the right to make me care. There was nothing that was presented that was like, this is why I'm watching this movie, or this is the character I'm rooting for, or, this is the ending that I'm striving for. There was just nothing. It just felt like I was watching Twilight. And it's just like, oh my God.
No, but Twilight was better.
Sorry. I'm sorry. My brain just reset. My apologies. I'm back. Sorry. There's certain trigger words that will cause my programming to reboot. So, I don't know what those words are, but you must have said something because it happened.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm back. We're good.
I will say this. The parents deserve it.
Do they though? They were just okay.
Hold on. No, let me make my piece.
Go ahead.
And I blame Bo, the main character. I blame her too.
Oh, that's her name, Bo?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. These kids were creepy as fuck, and they just overlooked so much stuff that they did. Like they built, who digs an 18-foot hole into the ground in the middle of the field and then starts painting blood on the roots? And she didn't think like, I should maybe mention something to the parents. The parents are so involved in their stuff, they're missing all these weird details. And by the way, I like to think I could have kicked the shit out of one of those kids. I swear to God.
Yeah, those kids pose no threat. And
no, not at all.
They were way more threatening.
I would argue those parents died of natural causes.
Yeah, those kids. Anybody could kick the shit out of any of those kids.
Yeah.
Man.
You basically let a kid kill you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yes.
And then like when they sprayed the chemical on them, but then it didn't kill them, it just knocked them unconscious. I'm like,
I love how they were like, only a little bit to knock them out.
Pesticide on them. Like, they're gonna die. They're not gonna be unconscious and then wake up and be like, oh, like what? It's not how pesticides work, bro.
Yeah.
There's no.
And I love how those kids knew how to work tractors too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they knew how to use all the farm equipment, man, because they grew up in a farming community. So
yeah.
Or in that whole thing where they were like bullying that kid to like jump off and hang himself off that.
Dude,
like
that was anticlimactic. I wanted that kid to jump.
And and then nothing happened. I'm like, jump! Like, show me something. Push him off. Have him consciously jump. Kill this kid.
And then Eden was like almost suiciding the entire people. Like, let's light it on fire.
Yeah.
Like, you idiot.
Like, I get she was a little
idiot,
but she was stupid as fuck.
Every 5 seconds, she's like, let's light all the chemicals and corn on fire. Every 5 seconds.
But they were supposed to not be doing that because that was the kind of the motivator subplot for the main plot, which is the corn is dying not because of a drought.
Yeah.
No. It's because we use GMOs, kids. And those GMOs fucked up the corn. So then we had to buy this special pesticide and it killed the corn. Don't use GMOs. And it's like probably, some like, red town, right? They're all like right wingers and they didn't want to use the GMOs, but the guy convinced them to. And then all those evil GMOs came and they ruined all of our corn. But the one thing that was actually accurate to me in this was the solution, which was we're going to get a government subsidy to destroy our corn and not grow it. And that shit happens every year. So I was like, oh, here we go. So Quentin Tarantino, there's always one positive in every movie. That was the positive because I was like, oh, that's actually real. There we go. We got something in this movie, guys. Congrats.
We're gonna get money. We're gonna get paid for doing nothing.
Right. And then the kids were like, oh no, Groot doesn't like that. So we're just gonna get like Dennis Nedry.
Oh my God.
We just watched that movie a few days ago, too.
That is going to go down in history as not only one of the best scenes, not only is it one of the best gotchas, but it's also one of the best meme responses you can use for virtually any response across the board.
Yes.
It is legendary.
It's very memeable.
I use it all the time. Anyways, back to the show. So yeah, I'm like, okay. And then Eden goes to the cornfield after the kid, and then you see Groot's hand. And that's when I was like, I'm out. And here's the thing. In the original short story, there was a corn monster. But I think the problem is because we saw Groot already, and we've like seen Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
That is dumb to us because it's already been done. That's why, again, going back to the original, the amorphous cloud was better in my opinion, because it wasn't they hinted that the monster was there, but they don't show him. He's a cloud. In this one, they show him, and I'm just like, okay, it's Groot. It had zero impact, and I somebody had to have known that was gonna happen, or maybe they were all naive. I don't know.
And I think just not being able to see the monster is scarier than
Absolutely.
seeing it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the issue, because I'm not scared of Groot. And
Right.
they made that thing look exactly like
Dude.
Groot.
He was like spitting image Groot, man. Like they didn't even
Yeah.
try to do a different design. Like, wow. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, Jesus, man. Did the same people who worked on Guardians work on this movie? Like, I mean, the model was like identical. Even
It
the
was
shape
to
of
a
the
T.
head.
I think if it looked different, it could have been like menacing.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
Jesus fucking Christ, like no.
Yeah, it was straight up Groot. Like, I can't stress that enough for anybody listening or watching. It was Groot. And then they showed the whole thing at the end. Like, you just saw the hand. That's why I kept telling you guys when we were messaging, I was like, pay attention to the corn. Pay attention to the corn. Pay attention. And then Jesse's like, I saw it. I'm like, I knew what you saw. So that would have been okay. But no, they showed us Groot at the end, and I just laughed. I was
I
like, this
couldn't.
is absurd.
Yeah, it was just too much.
Yeah, it was too much. It was too much on something that I had already just so checked out on that it became like a comedy to me. So it was just like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? And then so we see Groot, and then Groot dies, and Eden dies in the fire, and blah blah blah. And then like I was telling you guys earlier, when she picks up the ring, I was like, oh okay. And then it disappeared, and I was like, they're gonna redeem it at the end
Nope.
for me. And
Nope.
nope, not one bit. Nope. I was like, oh, there it is. So
Right. And then as the Groot monster dies, they try to do, the one last scare before we leave.
it made literally zero sense.
It was a callback to the beginning.
What do you
It's a
mean?
callback.
Okay, in the beginning when that boy goes to go murder,
Okay.
he's like, nothing really
Oh.
dies in the corn
Uh.
row or whatever. That's what it was.
Okay, but okay, fine. I'll accept that. But why would she be holding the ring and then the ring disappear, but then Eden's there because nothing dies in the corn? Makes no sense.
Okay, this whole movie doesn't make
Maybe they shot the ring when they were still going to go with the hallucination ending.
Maybe.
Yeah,
And
they
then
must
some
have
executive was like,
right.
no, we need Groot. We need Groot.
We
He's
need
so
Groot.
brilliant. Like, get him
I'm
in here.
confused with this one too. But apparently, I guess the monster possesses people and works through them.
Because that happened in Isaac was possessed by
At the end,
at the end by the amorphous monster or whatever.
But it was better.
I mean, it was better because they earned the right to do it. There was a reason that happened. In this film, there was no reason anything happened. They earned no rights to do anything for anybody. And so the things that they were just throwing out at you had no impact because you had no buildup for it. You had no care for it. There was no anticipation.
I feel like taking the religious aspect out of the movie
That was
hurt
huge.
it, made it, because like now it feels like a cornfield that just possessed kids rather than kids
Yeah.
that are doing their bidding.
Yeah.
And
And go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
No, realistically, people hate religion more now than back in the 80s.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
it would have been more relatable, and you could have gotten more of the audience on the side of the movie.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
So
That's a
why
really
they
good
didn't do
point.
that was idiotic.
That's a real. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. Really.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when I was even watching the original one today, I was like, I feel this. Like when he
Yes,
says that line,
yes.
like if you believe in something without love and empathy, then it's false.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that movie was made all those years ago,
Yeah.
and it still held true.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
I think
I agree.
taking that away from it took the teeth out of what the movie is about. Because I
agree.
mean, it's not as simple as possession, but it's like some of these kids they truly believed. And then you saw how they turned on Isaac to go team up with Malachi.
As soon as Malachi says something, they're ready to turn on Isaac and go
Yeah.
to Malachi.
Yeah.
So clearly the parishioners have no loyalties and are completely confused as to who's leading them. Malachi is done with this bullshit, so there's a power struggle. None of that existed.
Yeah.
There was
Right.
And I
no-
felt like that made what was being presented more volatile.
Yeah, I
felt
totally
like-
agree.
I feel like Eden, everything was so cut, neat, dry. You know, we're gonna take them,
And it-
put them in the hole, bury
and it
them.
wasn't
We're gonna do
horrific.
this.
It was just like normal. And
Yeah.
how she would just be like sitting there in her cowboy boots, like going like eating her sandwich on like the back of a pickup truck. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Like the little Debbie girl? Like she's the villain? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and like
It
no,
really bothered me.
she was like what, 8, 9?
Yeah.
What 8-year-old thinks like
Yeah, yeah. It just
Well, I think they were trying to make it at one point like a revenge movie.
Yeah, because she was like, "You
Yeah.
killed my friends."
Which I was like, I don't even understand. I don't think if they would have like, because I do believe you could make an evil kid movie where the kid is getting revenge. I think that is possible, but you have to earn that. You have to earn that. I felt like her watching somebody get killed off, and I don't think that was too impactful. I think like, you know, like for example, Damien from The Omen.
oh,
He's
shit.
the son of the devil.
Yeah.
I totally can wrap my head around this kid is evil.
Yes.
I can wrap my mind. You know, Isaac. You know, and then in a lot of, I
Just
think
the way
what
he
makes Isaac
talked.
believable comes from the kid's acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very high and pious. Like,
Yes. Yes.
he when he shows up in the beginning of Children of the Corn, he just goes. There's so much he does without saying a single word, and it just him nodding is getting all these people killed. So you're like, ooh, there's this power this kid has.
Mm.
But with this girl, I felt like, did she get possessed in the beginning,
Yeah,
and she
like,
was doing the
yeah.
bidding?
Right.
Is this a personal vendetta?
Well, I think that leads into something that I did notice in this film, and I hate to bring it up because it's a total drag, but there are some social commentary, politics stuff in this film with the kids, like the
How
whole
so?
thing where obviously there was already some type of motivation from Groot with the kids, because as soon as the parents started talking about burning the cornfields, Eden and everybody got all twisted about it because, you can't burn the corn. You can't. That's because they were already getting influenced by Groot, right?
Yeah.
But because they were kids, they didn't have a say. And they go out of their way to talk about how the kids are knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
Kids
Yeah.
know what's going on. Kids should be able to vote.
Dude,
Kids should have an opinion. And then when the kids get shut down, they're like, oh, we didn't like that our fathers shut us down and didn't listen to us. Let's murder them all. Like,
Oh, God.
what are you doing with this plot? Like, and so you take like a social political thing like that. Now that's obviously weaker compared to some other heavier stuff in other films, right? This isn't like a heavy social issue.
no.
But it
No.
is. And I'm like, why do we, like, even though this was very weak and I'm good with that, I'm just like, why do we need this in a Children of the Corn film? Like, it just felt so forced. And that's when I made that connection, that's when I was like, aha, this is Teen Wolf. This is the MTV version of Children of the Corn. And that made total sense to me. And then I knew what the film was for the rest of the film.
That's kind of how I felt about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one, with the school
God.
shooting subplot.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Like, there was
gotta
so
break
much
that
you
up.
could have done with that, and then you just dropped it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And you could have literally told an amazing horror story about trauma.
Sure.
And you decided to go, okay, here's her backstory. She survived a school shooting. Okay, let's just push this and see how it goes. And it's like, no, you could have made the movie about trauma. I mean, look at Mike Flanagan. All of his properties are about trauma.
Yeah.
And he's made
some of the best horror movies
It's not
out
Michael
there.
Flanagan just like popped in my head. So now I can get it out.
But I just feel like, but I feel like they took the teeth out of this movie, and I think that's what hurt it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And you know, I just make the movie straight up. You know, we could have just left that whole kids have rights and opinions and we should be able to vote and we're mad that no one listens. Just take that out of the fucking movie and just make it a religious cult movie, and it would have been so much better.
It's what it was supposed to
I
be.
mean,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean that there is a place in horror for that type of storyline. It's
Sure,
just not
absolutely. It's not in Children of the Corn.
not in Children
Like,
of
what
the
are you
Corn.
doing? You know,
This is
like,
what is
supposed to
so
be a religious
scary.
cult. Like,
What is so scary is how much these kids believe what they're doing is right.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
so scary.
that brings up what I wanted to see if you guys saw that too. Speaking of the kids, right? So in the first film, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say first, in the original 84 film, there were times where you were scared of those kids in numbers. You were like, oh shit, there's like 15 of them. They're totally going to kill this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this movie, I was afraid of none of the kids.
I
And
kick their asses.
what the
Right.
hell what was the cinematographer doing? Because if you go back and look at these shots, nobody's doing anything. They're literally all just standing around. I'm like, is someone gonna do something? Is there gonna be some background action? Are these kids gonna do things? Like, literally, you have your two leads in your frame, and then everybody else is just standing there like picking their nose. I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
What is happening here? There's no menace. There is no menace in this movie, and it that kills it for me.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of like, because I think at one point, I think something was really funny about the original movie. I felt like it was a moment where some kid yelled something ad lib. It wasn't supposed to be in the movie, but I felt like I was like, oh no, that was great.
Mm.
I think it was one point where off-screen Malachi and Isaac are gonna fight, and like everything's falling apart. The monster's about to come. They're running to the barn, and some kid goes, "What do we do now?" And I was like, "How realistic is that? Like these kids have been duped by everybody.
Yeah.
And just like, what do we do now?" I'm like,
Yeah, now they're left to fend for themselves because they have no leaders, and the monster is about to swallow them in the amorphous cloud.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel
Still
like
more
I feel like
exciting
the kids are cowering, they're afraid, they're either running, they're doing something. But you're right; these kids were just kind of statuesque. They
were
some death.
just everybody in this movie. So I guess this is a technical issue. Everybody was just standing around in the shots, and I'm just like, what? Like, you had 24 people in some of these frames in these shots, and everybody is just standing around. I'm like,
I don't think a lot of these people knew how to act, for number one, because that
That's
scene
okay.
where they were
It's
talking about
probably-
children's agency.
It's a streaming movie. I don't judge that too
No.
much.
Here's what I mean. That scene with the courtroom with the children's agency, like, we should get a vote. I love the
gosh.
one guy who's like, ha, 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 ha,
Stupid.
like that's
Yeah.
him laughing, and I was
Right.
laughing hysterically. I was like, I looked over at Sarah like, this is the worst ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what's ha, ha, ha.
I mean, he could have been Jared Leto's Joker, man.
He could have been.
Pretty much.
He could have been. It was just so goddamn awful. I was like,
The
this
whole
is a
movie
joke.
was awful.
But-
And like, I didn't even know what was going on with the pesticide stuff. I'm like, are they killing people with it? Are they using it? Where is it coming
I
from? What's
think-
going on over here? Like,
This movie felt like a conglomerate of multiple scripts. Because you had that, it could be all a hallucination from the chemicals. Then you had this children's agency thing where it's like these children believe they should be the agents upon themselves and should live in a world where no adults exist. Then you had this, is it a revenge murder plot that Eden's trying to do?
Yeah.
There were just so many, like, they couldn't
You don't
make a
know.
decision which movie they wanted to make.
right. Yes.
Is this
agreed.
The Omen? Is this a
Yeah.
revenge movie? Is this Spit
Yeah.
on Your Grave, but with kids killing
Yeah.
people?
Oh,
What
was
is it? I don't know.
Make that movie, please. Spit
No.
on your grave, but with
No,
kids.
no.
Make that movie. Make that
No.
movie.
The fuck, man?
Maybe
just
not with
make it
every
kid.
aspect of that film. I was just
Yeah,
talking about
like,
the revenge part of it,
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
first part.
Sarah. I'm not saying remake like shot for shot remake. I'm just saying do that, but with kids. But obviously, certain
Certain
things
stuff
would
taken
be
out, yes.
changed.
Make a revenge
Michael
kid movie.
actually put up a comment that I think we should respond to,
Oh,
and basically tell him to watch this reboot or remake and suffer like the other three of us have.
totally suffer. Just do it. Just do it.
Watch it, Michael. We want you to suffer just like all three of us have.
Yeah.
You'd suffer. It was awful. I can't tell you how many times me and Sarah were looking at each other like, the fuck is going on?
I almost watched it again, just to, but I didn't. I changed my mind.
Good man, Mike.
Yeah,
Good man.
and he'll tell me when he watches it.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it last night. I was like, but then no.
Yeah,
I watched American Children instead.
This, like I said, the problem with this movie was it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
It had no
That's
clue.
a great way. Yep.
It felt like they because I think individually each storyline is a great idea, but with
Yes.
Yeah.
there's no follow
Yes.
through on
Right.
any of them.
Yes.
So it just ends as a big mess.
Yep, I agree. Yes. Pick one of the plot lines you introduced and see it through completion, start to end.
Yeah.
And it would have just inherently been better, even if all those other issues were there. If you did have a flushed out story from A to B, it would have inherently been a better experience.
I had a feeling like this was my prediction at one point because I thought, okay, maybe this might have a good ending, where Eden knows she's full of shit, but but all the kids, because they're drugged up, are following it, and it was gonna be like a religion, and it was just a means to an end to get the revenge she wanted.
Yeah, I would have been okay with that.
That would have been really good.
That would have been
Yeah.
good. Like, imagine she tricked a bunch of kids into killing their parents.
Yeah.
Like, the cruelty, the level, like this could have been a really good evil child movie, and they just decided they didn't know what they were doing. So
Yeah, that would have been good, because then when she does that, then you could have had not Groot, but you could have had the monster, whatever you want to do, come out of the cornfield. Now Eden realizes it is true.
it is true.
But then she gets consumed by that thing, and then they have to all step up and defeat it. There you go. Much better ending right there.
Solid.
Yeah, I wonder if there's ever going to be a point in time where Stephen King stops selling movie rights to his book.
I wouldn't. I mean, dude, come on now. I wouldn't.
We have had some really shitty Stephen King movies.
Yeah.
Like recent.
Yeah.
And
I
I
was
feel
watching
like-
Maximum Overdrive the other day, and I was just like, I love
That's a
this
treasure.
movie, but
That's a
this
treasure.
movie is the worst movie.
No,
Like,
it's not.
Oh my God. But I love it.
Okay, but if you think about like It Chapter 2.
That movie had everything I wanted, John. Don't you take that back.
You're ridiculous.
You had a coked up Stephen King giving his life so he can make that movie, and that's all you guys are
Look, I get it's
disrespectful.
Cocaine the movie, and it needs to be renamed. I understand that, but I mean,
Dude,
I'm not
the
saying
trailer-
I enjoy it. I'm just saying that it's an example of that.
That movie's perfect. Don't touch it.
It is definitely not perfect, but I love
Not
it.
at all.
Perfect.
You have issues, Jesse.
Dude, AC/DC bites it 2 minutes into the movie.
We
They
are
did the whole-
over time on the show. I don't think
Yep.
we want to listen to.
Oh,
you
wait,
guys
we don't
on
wanna
your
do that.
merits
All right.
of that.
We'll definitely have to bring up our opinions on other Stephen King adaptations, possibly for our Halloween show.
Sarah, what would you say to one of the Halloween shows doing something that either just discusses, like, well, we could agree on which ones to talk about so we're prepared, but like either like the book to movie adaptations, like pick 2 or 3 that we like or whatever, or just differences between book writing and film screenplay. Like, we might be able to put something really nice together for the Halloween season. I think that'd be fun to do.
I think it would be.
Well,
I'm down for that.
our Halloween run begins September 1st, so
Yeah.
we'll have to get talking about that.
It's coming up, man. This year's flying by. It's already like late July. It's crazy. I feel like it's February still.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all the time for Bride of Pimpy, presented by At the Grown Up Stable. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Mike Norris, thank you, man, for commenting. You rock. Tune in. Next week, we're going to be off because I have a show I have to do.
But we will be back the week after with some excellent conversations, talks about the pop culture around us. But until next time, I'm Jesse.
I'm Sarah.
And who are you, John? Who are you?
Oh, I'm Guest John.
You guessed John.
Right.
It was an awkward. It's like I have my 2 wives here.
No,
Anyways.
it's okay.
Oh my God.
This is your guys. This is your guys.
Yeah.
show.
Anyways,
I'm
thanks for hanging out with Bride and Pimpy. We love you guys. Take care and stay spooky, everyone. Take care.